Toodming. Actually,
It
we
is
should have had a poll.
Toodming.
We should add a poll and say, who do you think the replacement is going to be?
Who do you think they're?
Just have
Oh
like 5
man,
options.
they're gonna be like, and then one of them would be like boxer, or just like something, it's like, or just like Stork is gonna play. Oh wow, oh my god,
Stork.
Wow.
Well, it is Toodming, and they've
Toodming.
already figured out their maps too. So we're gonna head right into it actually. So best of 5 for $10.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, Gamja's having a blast in the ESL Cup. But we're gonna get into this next game. Gonna be excited.
It's going to be awesome. So we still have a TVZ. TVZ is going to be happening on Vani Research Station.
What team is Toodming on again?
Toodming is on Zenith of Origin, which is, I believe, it's all Chinese team. Yes, it is. Yeah, well, it's interesting too because that's kind of like the it's kind of like the way of things is sort of China is this off to the side sort of like community of StarCraft players, and it's nice to have things like WCS and Team Gravity Fight Night where some of those players can come out and hang out with all of us and we get to see their fantastic play.
Yeah, China's always on its own island and everything, and we're gonna see that, more. Whatever. First, we're gonna see this intro video. Let's take a look at that.
Team Gravity presents Fight Night.
Y'all ready for this?
So yeah, guys, shout out to our man Cyber for putting together these videos and stuff. And I was like, we put on this awesome introductory video before every series, and I don't want to take that away from the dude. He worked hard to make it, and it's really cool. So I just had to give him his moment there. So wherever you are, Cyber,
yeah, man,
good looking out. So game number 1, we're gonna get started on Vani Research Station. We have our replacement player right here, and not a bad replacement at all. So the very bottom is the blue Zerg, representing Zenith of Origin, is the Chinese Zerg player Toodming.
And in the top of the map, at a slightly different angle than you may be expecting, it's the red Terran, currently teamless, Apocalypse.
So, Toodming, and we were just on the cusp of talking about how, China was always on its own little island when it came to the StarCraft scene. And even their server, it's super isolated, right? Our client cannot access it.
Yeah, nobody knows what's going on over there. And
They have their own
you gotta have
special
some
version.
Chinese insider people. I mean, we even had to track down for the Legacy of the Void mod that you can play in Heart of the Swarm and play some Legacy of the Void if you haven't got a beta key yet. Is almost the same. We've worked very hard to make that happen. But if you want to check that out, we even got it on the Chinese server. Some great Chinese folk reached out to us. They're like, "Hey, can we have this on the server?" And we're like, "Absolutely, let's make it happen." And so we got that happening as well. But more importantly, speaking of Chinese players having their own flair, we are seeing a little bit of a flair, a little happening right over here. This is not Toodming's natural.
Yeah, doesn't quite look like it.
No,
I think, red is a little too close for that.
A small amount. It's not really big, but I mean the distance to mine minerals is kind of long. I think it's a little bit off from the most optimal placement for mining minerals. Just a small amount. And this is kind of I've never seen a proxy in this location before. It's gonna get scouted right away.
Well, yeah.
I mean that's sort of
a normal
expected,
path
right?
for Reapers.
That's where the Reaper is gonna go. I mean, so he's got to have planned out for that to happen. Bunker on the high ground, thinking about it. All right, He's going to put the bunker on the high ground there. We do have a possibility of spine crawlers being used to break down this front wall. Behind this, we have gas coming in, minerals being mined as well. Not 100% sure if we're going to see any banelings or anything like that. Reapers coming in. And yeah, we will see speed and pulling off of the workers. So this is going to be speedlings. And very likely, I would imagine, spine crawlers to break down the wall. And the speedlings can sort of run in. It's going to be kind of difficult to deal with here.
Yeah, right now Factory's on the way for Apocalypse. It's going to be crucial here. He will very likely go for tanks to help repel whatever spines may come up at that expansion. And we're seeing that now. I have to wonder.
Oh, look
if
at that
this
perfect
decision...
spine crawler placement. Oh, man. Well done.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no question about it. I have to wonder if the decision to proxy cheese here is perhaps because of maybe a non-Terran player's general distaste for Vonnie Research Station. We kind of saw that with Parting last week.
It's definitely a tendency. The Zergs tend to be a little bit cheesier on this map on average because of that. And this is a really cool little rush here we got going on. And there it is. Nice little range right there. Oh, what is he lifting? What is... Whoa, I don't know what's going on here. He doesn't need to go that close. Oh, this is totally not necessary. He can hit this from far away. Oh, man. But, I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's going to make it happen. Either way, I have 3 spine crawlers. It actually doesn't matter if I move in range or out of range or anything like that. He's going to be attacking the, all kinds of stuff here. We got him even targeting down some of these workers. So we have the worker lead still for the Terran so far, but lots of workers falling. The siege tank is now out, and I don't know. This is going to be really tough for Toodming. I don't think he's going to be able to continue this rush too much longer with that siege tank in place.
No, he won't. And it really comes down to how many SCVs will be able to take out to make it worth it. And that to be a lot, because you've delayed the expansion.
Yeah, it's not just worker count we're dealing with here.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, but it would have to be like an immense worker count advantage to justify this, and this is not the case. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that here. Interesting you chose to inject larva on this hatchery. Was hoping for a little bit more rally through there. Apocalypse being nice and safe behind that. He's going to go ahead and take an expansion. And how do you follow this up? You know, that's sort of an interesting question for me. Just like, all right, you do this proxy thing, it almost works out, and what's the follow-up here? What are you going to do to, you know, basically make up for the fact that you just put yourself behind in a major way?
Yeah, these kinds of situations are kind of like, oh crap, the cheese didn't work. Well, I'll try my best. And then that's kind of really all you can do, because you look at Apocalypse, he's on 2 bases, he's on 2 orbitals, he's got up to factory tech already. He can, you know, make a counter in relatively, you know, a decent amount of time to the effect where Toodming will not have transitioned.
Oh yeah, well the thing is, Toodming, the only way Toodming comes back into this if he takes a huge risk, like, you know, and almost always that big risk is going to be an economic risk. So just play super greedy, get tons of drones, and hope to God that you can get enough drones to make up for the fact that you sacrificed all of that early economy before you get attacked. But, you know, already the move I hear from Apocalypse is going to be difficult to deal with. 2 siege tanks, and just looking at the unit count, we've got 3 Zerglings and 3 Queens to defend this push once it gets across. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of time here for Toodming to build some units. But so far, just droning up really hard, and, you know, and moving forward, going to go ahead and take that third, because like we sort of talked about before, really the only way you're going to catch up is if you make that risky play and it pays off.
Is it even risky? It is 9:56. You're supposed to have a third if you weren't cheesing, but...
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think the cheese throws off the timer in a major way, though, you know, as far as, like, the game state's concerned.
Yeah, but it's all just, you know...
Look at this force moving out.
It's attempt at this point. We got the Banshee in here on the natural. And then, of course, the giant army is moving up over here onto the third that was just started. And Apocalypse is... or, Toodming's just going to have to make a bunch of speedlings here to try to deal with this, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Nice scan to get rid of all those creep tumors as well. Going to help in the following up engagement just a bit to deny vision. That creep's going to take a little while to recede, so you should still be able to get an engagement on creep if he wants to take one. And here we are. This is how he's going to do. He's waiting for the right moment to send those speedlings out. If he can clear out these Hellions, he has a decent shot at it, but it's going to be incredibly difficult. It's a lot about positioning. He's waiting for the right moment to move in. The siege tanks are naked, and he's going to run in, at least get one of them here. And nice surround all over. He's going to be able to kill off a lot of units, but unfortunately, I don't think it's quite enough.
No, it's not. I mean, 12 more lings in production. Actually, if Toodming banks these up, he might have a decent shot at taking everything out. Might even get the tank, actually, here.
Ooh,
be
nice
close.
move
Actually,
there.
he won't get it.
On that tank, and even using the
Oh, he
queens
will
just
get it.
barely to finish it off. Now is the real backbone of this force, however. He's got to save up again. He's going to clear out these Hellions. And now they're Hellbats. So his day just got a whole lot worse. GG.
He realizes
And
it.
that is
GG there. Oh, man. So, you know, that game was kind of pretty easy to understand there. You know, you attempted cheese, and it was a well-intentioned one. But, you know, Apocalypse just, he went into factory right after, and he was going to be in position to get that tank and hold off that proxy. So,
What's really
kudos
interesting to
him.
me is that he moved in all of his spine crawlers into the range of the bunker when spine crawlers outrange bunkers. Like, he could have stayed out of range, dealt damage to the bunker, and just put that pressure on and wouldn't have any trouble with it. I guess you can move in and try to get in the range so you can kill workers. But I mean, if to keep up with the repair for 3 spine crawlers on a bunker, that's a lot of lost mining time and minerals that just get dumped into the repair.
Yeah, and I think also targeting down workers with 3 spines is not as easy as it sounds, because
if you
say have all 3 spine crawlers selected and you all target 1 SCV, that's just overkill. You're not actually getting that much done.
You're losing damage, actually.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but it is Vonnie Research Station, and I do believe that players will just want to get it over with as soon as possible. We're going to lose if they're not Terran. We saw that with Parting last week, Jack Attack. If you probably remember the proxy Stargate and then into Tempest like right afterwards on one base. So
that was such a
that's
cool
gonna happen.
All right. Well, Expedition lost our next match. Not quite as hated by the Zergs in the ZVT match. So hopefully we'll see a nice macro game here, because Toodming, very strong player. Especially in the macro game, really, really high-level decision-making. So hopefully we get to see some of that out of him this time around. But we have here the game loaded up. We are on Expedition Lost, spawning in the bottom left location. We have the blue Zerg, Toodming.
And against him is the player that just took the first game off of Toodming. He's up 1-0. And he's going to try to get a second win here to put the series into match point by a very quick game 3. Can he do it? Playing for himself and only himself, because he is teamless. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Apocalypse. Now, some of you guys have been wondering, what happened to Apocalypse? How is he doing right now? He just kind of came back after disappearing for so long. So he was most recently on IVD Gaming. And IVD Gaming, as you guys probably know, disbanded back in October, I believe, or something like that. And then after that, he and Gamja, who actually was supposed to play here and is on Team Gravity with me now, they both took a break after getting, you know, their team disbanded. And then now this season, Apocalypse has been back. He's been playing on Korea. He's top 30 GM there, and he's logged almost 900 games. That's a lot of games. So he's been really working at it and practicing.
Yeah, it's, you know, there are a lot of players, a lot of different training styles, and when you're teamless, most of the time your training style is going to lead you to that mass ladder scenario, because it's just so hard to get practice partners at that high level of play when you're not in part of a team, because, you know, the other teams, they don't want you knowing all their builds and all their secret stuff that they got going on there, and especially the Kespa teams are real strict about that kind of stuff. And so, you know, it can be a little bit difficult to get practice partners. So a lot of ladder happens. We also have, I believe Innovation is one of those ladder players where he'll just train up and play tons and tons and tons of ladder.
Yeah, and one thing about ladder scenarios is that you will run into cheese more often than when you play, say, your teammates or something, right? Because you play against your teammates, you always want that macro game, you know, everyone wants to play out their build. But then you play a lot of ladder, you will run into a lot of cheeses and all-ins and stuff, and it'll put yourself in a better situation to where you can defend against those things. Perhaps, I mean, potentially.
Well, yeah, you get a bigger variety of situations, right?
Yeah.
I think learning to defend against cheese is one of the big essential skills that you have to have if you want to be, you know, a successful professional gamer. A lot of people, especially in those open qualifiers, a lot of professional gamers will tell you there are going to be cheesers in there, and all they're going to do is cheese, and they're going to do it really well. You have to be able to deal with that in order to make it past things like those big open qualifiers. And just to be able to have consistent results, you have to be solid. You have to be able to defend the cheese, or, you know, you have to be able to mix it up too and show some range and throw out some cheese yourself once you start getting into those best of 3s, best of 5s, best of 7 scenarios. So, you know, it's all part of that practice. And, you know, the high level Kespa teams do train those kind of scenarios. So it's like, yes, you need to be able to, you know, defend a 10-pull Bane in a ZVZ situation. You have to be able to do that. You know, it's a prerequisite to be able, before you get into that game, that ZVZ match, you have to know how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, in this game, there is no cheese. Both players have opened up fairly standard, although Apocalypse here is adding on a second gas here. So that is going to likely lead to Banshees coming out of the guy. And he might even stay on 2 base a little longer than you would expect. So there is that Starport. Going to be a tech lab likely on that barracks. Meanwhile, for Toodming, just grabbing that speed right now. It's 5:48. Not quite time for a 3rd base yet. We'll see when he does decide to take one. But still plenty of options at his disposal here as he's droning up. Oh, there's the thing.
Yep. Loving that early 3rd queen, getting that creep spread going. One of the very important things in this matchup. Where is the creep spread? How far is it out? Gives you vision, but it's also one of those things. It's just really important to engage on creep, especially when you get into the bio scenario. Now, right now, we don't know exactly what kind of a game we're going to run into, being that mech or bio. It's one of the nice things about opening this way. You get the expansion at a nice time. You get all your, you know, your main producing structures up, and you can kind of make a call and say, all right, you know, I'm just going to keep bumping Hellions and drop my armories, and all of that kind of stuff is going to keep coming through, you know. Or you can say, you know, no, I'm going to go bio, and that's fine, and I can do that as well. So you can play a little bit more reactively when you open this sort of way.
Yeah, and we're going to see these Hellions now just try to move on a creep here. Take out some of these tumors when they can. They've already burrowed, though. Well, scout that 3rd base and try to stop it. I don't think Apocalypse is going to be expecting to take out this 3rd base, though.
Ooh, this is interesting. He's running across the map. He's hoping to catch this ramp open, but just got closed up there. That's always one of those things where, you know, maybe you play 100 games and it doesn't work most of the time, but maybe one out of those 100 games it works and you get that win or you get that big economic damage. Always good to throw him in, check it out, see what's going on. Okay, all right, he's crossing all his T's, dotting all his I's. I know that I can't win in this way, or I can't get that big damage in, but it's always nice to check. Ooh, dropping the Banshee control for a second. Pulls it out just in time. A little bit of a mix-up there for Apocalypse, but it looks like he's going to be able to come in here and start wailing away on these queens. Overseer, excellently timed from Toodming, going to come in just in time to avoid a lot of this damage. In the meantime, the Hellions are going to come in and attempt to kill some larvae, which they do. And aside from that, this has been a really great defense from Toodming. Really high queen count, which I love.
Yeah, so far Toodming has not had problems holding this mostly 2-base opener from Apocalypse. I mean, right now he's going ahead and building that 3rd CC, or actually turning into an orbital command even. But, you know, he did delay that a bit to try to get out Banshees. The Banshees have yet to really accomplish all too much. We'll see if he can manage to find some more pockets where he can attack them. Right now, that attempt is being made on the natural of Toodming. Perhaps a couple of drone kills there. Let's check on that.
Looking
6
pretty
drone
good. 7
kills.
so far. They're lining up pretty
Yeah.
nicely, but then it gets spread out towards the end. This is definitely a good position for them to be in, but so far this has been deflected really well, and Toodming is going to go ahead and take that information and transition to a pretty early fourth here.
Yeah, it's only 10 minutes, but clearly he feels comfortable. He knows the Terran delayed his economy a bit to get out that aggression. He held it with, you know, relative ease.
Relative ease,
And
yeah.
So he's telling himself, okay, I can expand now. I mean, the Terran's not going to be back anytime soon. Nothing that can really catch me off guard. So
Yeah, and I
Toodming is-
love this move here, dropping the creep as well. Just, you know, adding insult to injury. No, you didn't deal much damage with your ass, and I'm going to delay your expansion.
Yeah.
You know, it's always nice to be able to throw that in whenever you can. And, you know, just Toodming, paying attention to everything, getting his bases covered. He sees, he's got overlords in good positions around the map. He knows what's going on. And the Viking going to come over and check. Ah, yes, the fourth base is up and running. Going to send over 2 Banshees to try to deal with that. But, man, look at this creep spread. That's one of the advantages of going with that 6-queen opener. You can get a lot of creep spread out.
Yeah, a couple Banshees going to make their way over to that fourth base right now. Try to soften it up. Looks like they're gonna, yeah, they're gonna go ahead and do that. There's also dropping ready on the left side as well. So it's one of those
Nice
situations
move
where
here.
Toodming has to kind of split his army and see what he wants to take out first. He's gonna have these
Mutalisks
Mutas
are
come
already
home
out.
to deal with these Banshees. So drop though in the main base as well. Marines are stemming forward right here. Potentially can take out quite a few of those drones. No, the Lings are back in time. So
Oh,
perfectly
wow.
split by Toodming. Lings on the drop. Mutas
Oh
on
my
the
god.
Banshees. Both
That
dealt
spine
with
crawler.
perfect.
Oh, did you? And you could see it, right? So Apocalypse came in, getting ready to move into that nice corner position that you can get yourself into. It's really hard to deal with as a Zerg player, but he doesn't go for it because that spine crawler in the back is blocking off that area from being cost effective for him. When normally that's where the Terran would go and go ahead and get that extra cost efficiency by getting in a nice little corner.
Yeah, that's absolutely very true. I mean, Toodming thinking just with that forward thinking there, that spine crawler placement. We're going to see Apocalypse clear up some of that creep in the center, try again on this fourth base. He really needs to have one of these attacks do some decent damage because none of them have really been able to accomplish much. Toodming getting back over here very quickly with those Mutas and, again, just denying Apocalypse the ability to get work done with his attacks. Maybe this 3 medevac drop, though, maybe.
Got a drop coming on the other side, and mostly we have Apocalypse with some units in position, but they get cleaned up pretty quickly. Apocalypse going to have to move in if he really wants to get damage done. 1 queen down, a lot of Lings as well. Ooh, catching a couple Mutas out. Excellently done there. All the Mutas not exactly grouped perfectly here. And 1 Baneling hit, but it's not a whole heck of a lot. You got to realize, I mean, Zerg needs some Banelings to be able to deal with this high number of, oh man, he's just killing all these units right as they come out. He's going to make a direct engagement with the Mutas. And he is going to clean it up, but not exactly cost effective. He's going to lose a lot of Mutas here, and that is a big gas bank. And in the meantime, he's taken out the 4th base. Excellent positional drop play from Apocalypse.
Yeah, credit to Apocalypse for sticking with his plan here. The first several engagements didn't work well for him, whether it was the drop, whether it was the Hellion run-bys and whatnot. But in just continuing this assault has started to see Toodming crack just a little bit. And it's working a little better to his advantage now.
Yeah, it can be very easy to say, oh, okay, the Mutas are out. I'm just going to stop dropping now. But Apocalypse instead is like, no. The Mutas are there. They're generally going to be in one place. They're usually not going to be split up. And I'm going to just use this positional advantage to take out one of their bases. And I'm going to be in a really nice position. And that's exactly what happened here. Might be over and doing it with this drop over here. We'll have to see. The positioning is pretty nice, but lots of Lings streaming in. Should be able to clean this up without too much trouble. And yeah, we'll see the Mutas now coming in. We got
Right
a
side.
Thor, couple of missile turrets. Nothing too huge. I love that he's not clumping up his Mutas here because he expects the Thor to be there, and there it is. Going to
I
move
think
in
you can
here.
take that out. I think you can take out that Thor. It's just 1 Thor. There's not really much other anti-air there. And then you could potentially camp that production for so much longer, but for whatever reason, they decide to back off.
Well, it's the thing is, it is very tough to tell when that round of Marines is going to come out there, and you know, it's really difficult to tell exactly. All right, how many how many Marines is it going to take to with that Thor to be able to deal with these mutas? And you know, Toodming just playing it safe, clean up some more drops on the map, just being very careful. Apocalypse considering taking that gold, but the creep was already out there, so making it a bit difficult to deal with. He's got some Widow Mines out on the map too, in nice little positions, just to grab reinforcements here and there. Maybe the mutas fly by and they take a big hit. Very interesting play here. And for the most part, we have this sort of... He's thinking about pushing here. He's getting in position. He really wants to secure this base. So he's got a lot of turrets on the way, and he'll be dropping that pretty soon, waiting for his next round of reinforcements. Oh, nice surround here, but is it going to be enough? It's all about the... Oh, the Baneling hits looking pretty nice so far, but not enough. Once the Banelings are gone, that is the signal for Toodming to pull back, morph some more, try again, and this is that tried and true Mine Bio versus Ling Bane Muta that we love and know so much.
I think this was as good an engagement as Toodming could have expected. I mean, you think, oh, surround, that must mean he's going to have a huge advantage. But here's the thing. Apocalypse is 2-2 right now. Toodming did not have it during that battle.
Oh, he's about to have 3-3 as well.
Yeah, I mean, 3-3 is so far ahead here. So Toodming has fallen behind a bit on the upgrades, and that's going to be a problem for him, you know, heading into the latter stages of this game. So Apocalypse, you know, he did suffer some setbacks early on, but he has managed to catch up in this game and then some. He's actually been leading in supply for the last few minutes now in this mid game.
Yep, and well, he's going to try to bail out some of these mine shots here, but engaging against a planetary fortress in this position with the missile turrets to help block up all that melee unit damage is just a really difficult thing to do, and that makes this perfect staging area for Apocalypse to just push forward, even engaging on creep here. Oh my god, all of these Banelings morphing in here. They're not even halfway done yet. Apocalypse missing a bit of a chance here to kill off some free Banelings.
That is a huge Baneling Ling run by on this third base, completely vaporizing every worker that was there, forcing the liftoff on the command center, and Apocalypse probably suffered the biggest setback here since earlier in the game with those failed engagements and the natural as well, just seeing a bunch of workers die. So he has to make something happen. His whole army is down here. Can he just get the revenge he needs?
Oh, a lot of Banelings running into Marauders there.
That's as good as micros you can get from Terran, letting those units absorb those Baneling hits, and now it's just mostly Mutas versus Marines and Thor.
Oh, this is looking a little bit scary. We got some reinforcements coming in that might be able to turn the tide here and make it a victory for Toodming. That defender's advantage, always huge. Having that closer rally point makes a really big difference, especially with Xur. We have a giant plume of units that just explodes out, and he does manage to hold on here. Toodming and Apocalypse, you know, matched up in supply here, just going, you know, this is a complete slugfest, back and forth. While that attack was going on, Apocalypse did manage to take out one of Toodming's bases as well, so base for base got traded out in that last engagement.
Yeah, it's actually really close right now. Apocalypse did lose a lot of SCVs, but this is kind of the point where you can start plunking down plenty of mules from likely to 4 or 5 command centers he has at this point. He is going to have to retake that third, though, because that was decimated by Lings and Banes. But other than that, you know, the supplies are relatively even. Apocalypse slightly ahead even. And he's got his 3-3, so he still momentarily will have that advantage. He just needs to find himself in the right position to take these engagements.
Yeah, and Toodming only getting 1 upgrade at a time. So this is a sizable timing window for Apocalypse to get some damage done. And Toodming doing as much as he can to stall for time, do these little wraparounds, these run-bys like we see in the north here with these Lings, going to force a lift here, and you know, always just nice to be able to do that over and over again. And you know, not only does it, you know, deal some damage, but you know, it forces the attention of Apocalypse away, makes it less likely he's going to push out in those little moments. Actually, some of these Widow Mines, this Widow Mine over here is actually at 14 kills next to the 5th base of Toodming. It's just been hanging out here, getting some free kills here and there, and this base is going to be killed off quite quickly here.
Yeah, so Toodming, he's looking to take his 5th base. It's already at 23 minutes. He's going to be mining. He's already mined out, actually, his main and natural. So, I mean, he's kind of in a similar boat as Apocalypse when it comes to mining. I mean, don't get misled by 81 drones to 41. I mean, the fact is those 80 drones are not necessarily all finding patches to mine from at this point. And Apocalypse has really been able to continue putting on the clamps here on his Zerg opponent.
Yeah, and he's got a nice big position here. Ooh, catching some of this army out of position. Nicely done here by Toodming over on the left side of the map. He's going to be able to get some nice kills here, but the rest of the army does come in, and he's going to have to choose whether or not to engage. Loses some Zerglings, but that's not really the big deal. As long as you're keeping your Banes and your Mutas alive, you're going to be in a nice position. Unfortunately, though, just like the sheer macro from Apocalypse is becoming very difficult to deal with for Toodming right now.
Yeah, and certainly Toodming didn't need to engage him there off creep with the Planetary Fortress helping out. Now that Apocalypse is moving into Zerg territory, this is kind of the time where you do have no choice but to defend.
Yep, and he pulls his entire army over to the right side. He's going to get into a nice position on top of this ramp, and that is incredibly difficult to deal with. He even gets the Ultralisk Cavern in range. He's got the Baneling Nest, which is huge. If he kills that, which he does, that's going to think things. Oh, and we are in base race mode. Toodming has flipped the switch, and he has moved everything over into the base of Apocalypse. It's about who can kill whose base first. It's about running drones. Very, very special sort of niche scenario here, and very difficult to make the right decisions in this moment. Apocalypse absolutely has the one-on-one, I've got a bigger force than you. If we fight, I'll win kind of a situation. Toodming's force, however, is faster. Not enough. Going to GG, and Apocalypse wins out.
You know, one thing that we really needed to point out there was that 3-3 was taken out. Toodming was about to get it, and it was taken out. So he absolutely had to do the base race. There was no choice. He was never going to be able to defeat Apocalypse's army with less units and less quality as well. So, yeah. I mean, Apocalypse really pulling out a strong victory there. I mean, he was able to macro really hard, get better upgrades than his opponent, and that's kind of why we are at this point now. 2-0 lead for the Terran.
Absolutely. Some great play from both of our players. And we'll be getting into the next match shortly. But I'd like to remind everyone, please follow us on Hitbox. If you're not watching on Hitbox, you're doing it wrong. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes sometimes. That's why we're here to help you out. Come over to hitbox.tv, hang out in the chat. We're having a good time here. Come hang out with us. And, you know, thank you, of course, to Hitbox for sponsoring this, because they're the people who put up the money to make this happen. In addition, we also have the sponsor spawning tool, some great StarCraft 2 statistics stuff that you can check out at spawningpool.com.
Yep, very well said. And we appreciate you guys putting up with some of those delays and everything, but Toodming is not a bad replacement, so we are very happy to have
Not bad at all. Man, always love to see some Toodming games. And you know, Apocalypse, I haven't seen a whole lot of Apocalypse play, and he's really impressing me here with you know, he's crushing through.
Yeah, first game was kind of, you know, you could, after watching first game, you can be like, okay, they got cheesed and failed. And that's hard to really tell, like, who really is better at that situation.
Yeah,
but this one was, you know, this is a standard macro game that we just saw here. And Toodming is not bad, okay? He just was in the WCS Premier tournament earlier today for NA. I think he eventually dropped out. He was in the bottom of his group. I think that's what happened.
I actually didn't follow up on today's matches, so
that is what happened.
Yeah, he did. He was third place in his group with Sen Stardust and 4GG in his group. So that's, out of the whole WCS, that's one of the more difficult scenarios to get into a group with, you know, two fantastic Korean players.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, Toodming is WCS Premier in good company. So it is a tough matchup, and so far Apocalypse seems to be doing pretty well for himself. We're going to head into match point very soon, guys. This, remember, is a best of 5 for $10, so, you know, not a lot of room for error left for our Chinese Zerg player.
Not at all. So the next map is, of course, as you and I have talked about before, our absolute favoritist map of all the maps. It's Infernal Pools. It's the best. And Infernal Pools is cool and unique because you can have essentially 3 different games on Infernal Pools. You have the cross map position, you have the close by air positions, you also have the close by ground positions. And that's actually the Infernal Pools close positions is one of the, if not the shortest rush distance in the game right now. So a lot of potential for aggressive play, a lot of potential for cheese should we spawn close positions. And we are, just moments away for finding out exactly what those spawns are and how that's going to shape this TVZ.
Yeah, that's going to be a big thing here. And just in the chat before the game loaded, Toodming's like, "Oh, I hate this map. Why are we here?" And Apocalypse laughed. So I think both players, they're like, "Okay, I guess we're kind of stuck with this here for game 3." So
yeah, when you play chicken with the
going.
map vetoes, that's what happens, man. Sometimes you lose and you get Infernal Pools.
All right, guys. So looks like both players are in the close position, but vertically as opposed to horizontally. On the very bottom right-hand side is the blue Terran, who's up 2-0 at this moment and can potentially close it out right here for another rare shutout. 2 shutouts in a row on Fight Night? Wow, never heard of that. So it is the blue Terran on the bottom, Apocalypse.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of our screen, he's changed his color a 3rd time. He was once red, then blue. Now he's teal. I think it's more of a cyan, but it's teal. We have Zenith Origins, Toodming.
Perhaps he's just looking for a color that will get him a winning game, maybe?
That's what it's about, If at first you don't succeed, change your color and maybe you'll win. I think that's how the old saying goes. It's as old as the hills, which of course are very, very old things. Been around for quite some times. So scouting beginning to start moving around here. We got the Overlords coming out. And Apocalypse, yeah, that's going to go through here. We have the gas coming out as well. And like you said, a lot of Terran players like to go Reaper on these bigger maps so they can get that faster scout out moving around. And I think that's what we are going to see here.
Yeah, that seems to be a fair assessment there with the 12-12 opener. Meanwhile, for Toodming, he's going to go ahead 15 hatch into pool and the gas afterwards. I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, I know I did say that earlier, but then you can also say too that it's a large map, so CC first. So I guess, like many things in StarCraft, it's always up to preference, I suppose. But this is Infernal Pools, and it is a tricky map to play on. So
yeah, you don't know if you're spawning close by ground, and
Yeah.
you have to account for that. Or send out a scout really early to find out. So Apocalypse playing it safe with that Reaper play. And this is actually this is a short rush distance by Reaper because the Reaper can just run through here and jump up some cliffs and be in really nice position. We do have Zerglings on the way to defend as well as a Queen. But we are going to have a little bit of playtime here for this Reaper. It'll be able to have its fun just for a bit. Getting really close to those eggs there. Very, very aggressive Reaper we have. I believe he did queue up the 2nd Reaper as well. It is coming out. And a 3rd as well. So 3 Reaper play here. It's important when you do go through that 3 Reaper, you get something done. Going for the 3 Reaper does slow down your tech pretty significantly. So you really don't want to get caught out. And most of all, you just got to keep those 3 Reapers alive so that they can be used later on in conjunction with the Hellions that are sure to follow.
Yeah, you never know when they can actually kill a base, right?
Yep.
In game,
it's
game
happened.
3 of Series 1.
Yep. You never know when all of a sudden someone's 3rd base is going to be dead. Oh wow, awful timing there. He ended up having to pull back, not having to pull back. He ended up pulling back at exactly the wrong time. That last Reaper, will a Reaper actually die? No. No, why would I even imagine? Reapers don't die. They jump out of bases. And keeping that 3rd Reaper, very important. Going 3 CC behind this. That's 3 CCs in total. If he were building 3 CCs, that would be really crazy. But yeah, gonna follow it up with some Hellions and a starport as well. So he's getting all of his economy buildings down first, followed up by his tech. And then finally he will build an army to attempt to kill his opponent, as is preferable in StarCraft.
Yeah, I think it's pretty preferable.
No, but I mean, like, the ideal order of things, if you can get away with it, it's invest in economy first, and then tech up, and then worry about the army, you know? That's like, just from an efficiency standpoint, that's the most efficient way to play the game. What changes that is your opponent being like, oh, he's a threat, I have to build some units to defend here, I have to do this or that.
Well, then again, cheese is efficient too when it works. We saw Toodming try that.
Yes,
didn't
he
quite
did.
work out,
Hasn't worked out so far. But yeah, so an unfortunate bit of a little supply block going on here from Apocalypse, but getting back into it quite quickly. Not too long.
Two-base layer happening for Toodming here. Taking the bottom 2 gases in the natural. Hasn't taken the 4th in the main yet, but I'm not seeing
probably
Roach.
Will, right? Yeah. I mean, usually it's a 2-base Spire play, but
yeah,
if you're going for mutas, you almost always take all 4 gas. So the Baneling Nest is coming down, so that does lead us to believe there's some sort of Ling Bane muta play. But you know, you never know when that Roach Warren's gonna get thrown down. We get some big kind of a 2-base attack coming in. Toodming spells blood in the water. He will go for it. We do have a 3rd base though coming out, so you know, a nod to a little bit more defensive play, a little bit more balanced out play rather than going for that super aggression. And Apocalypse kind of staying on his side of the map here. Yeah.
Okay, so there is a Roach Warren.
Roach Warren as well, yep.
So it's going to be a Lingbane bust. Heavy timing coming soon, I'd have to think. Because I don't see him getting a Spire now at this point. Although...
No, that would be very strange.
Yeah,
I would be...
Because you already went for the Roach Warren. You already got the Baneling Nest. So we'll see, but...
Yeah, Hellbat timing in the meantime from Apocalypse on the other side, so... That's going to be interesting to see these two styles clash, both going for a little bit more of the aggressive plays here. And he's going to be in a nice position here to just sort of move in. And Toodming moving in, he's going to see that armory, so he'll know what's up. But unfortunately, scouting the armory when it's about to complete doesn't give you a whole lot of time to prepare. He just knows, hey, these are probably going to turn to Hellbats at some point. Good to know. And he's actually going to try to defend this base here.
Remember we said you never know when Reapers can help kill a 3rd base?
Yep,
that's gonna
here
happen.
we are. Here we are
that's
again. They're doing their part. They're doing their part. You know, like maybe they're not. You know, maybe they're not doing all the heavy lifting, but you know, they're doing a lot of it. Excellent split.
But enough Banelings regardless to clean up the ground units. And a couple Queens will chase away that Banshee. But the deed is done. The 3rd is taken out. Although I would say at a pretty big cost to Apocalypse. That was kind of a lot of units dedicated to that purpose. I mean, there was some
it's not like you could go in and kill it off and run away. He did have to use his entire army to deal with that. And usually what you're worried about is counterattack. But when you're dealing with a large Baneling force, counterattacks don't happen because once the battle is done, most of the Banelings are generally dead. So it's going to take a little while, and he's got this nice Banshee. It's going to help him scout for when the attack is coming, get some free damage, some free hits in on these Roaches in the meantime as well. Toodming not going for any sort of a super quick counterattack just yet, but +1 is finishing up. He does have the option of trying to barrel in and deal with this 3rd base in short order, should he decide that it is the course to go. And he is indeed moving out with a big Roach force, so going to come in and deal with it and droning super hard behind this attack. So playing for the long game, nice pressure play here with +1, going to try and deal some economic damage here. The problem is we got a lot of Banshees out for APOC.
Yeah, Banshees keep coming out. We're also having tanks being sieged up in the natural, so I mean, when that happens, the Roaches are only going to do a very minimal amount of work. Maybe set up a contain to sort of keep that 3rd from being mined for Apocalypse for as long as possible. But as far as
the problem is he can't stay in one place though. He has to keep moving around at all points in time.
There's Banshees all the time.
You know, very difficult. We have an infestation pit on the way. That third for Toodming just finishing up now. And he really is using up these roaches here to try and delay the economic effect of this base here. Kind of difficult scenario. You really don't want to be losing that many units right now.
Yeah, these Banshees, I mean, 3 at once, that's going to do big work on those roaches. You see a lot of those roaches. I mean, he's only got half of what he originally had before when he brought them down. But yeah, Apocalypse is enjoying a nice lead now. I mean, worker supplies, very similar, but once you throw mules into that equation, the mining is
It gets
not going to
quite
be
crazy.
Yeah, and then he's actually leading in supply, which is not generally supposed to be the case when we're talking about the mid-game in TVZ. Usually Zerg is the one leading by supply. So Toodming here, kind of a little bit on his back foot.
He's definitely against the ropes here. Oh, we got a little bit of harassment coming through here. Let's see if he ends up committing to it. Kind of waffling around back and forth between the bases, not really moving in. He's already down to 4. That is the magic number you need to one-shot workers. And he does get 7 workers in that whole ordeal there. So, you know, it's kind of nice. And he is going for this mech play. So trading out for minerals is always one of those things that has just historically been a good move to do as a mech player.
Yeah, so it does look like, you know, with Apocalypse going mech, which I believe was a response to the roaches he saw. Well, Toodming is going with Roach Hydra here. This is kind of what he's decided to settle on for his unit comp. He did go with Lingbane Muta in game number 2. So I guess he's trying something different perhaps here is the reason. Maybe he feels like the map is more conducive to Roach Hydra play. I don't know. But either way, we're seeing different army compositions from both players at this point compared to previous games.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Who can come out on top? Toodming obviously quite far behind in this scenario, but he's building some Vipers. And his upgrades are looking pretty good right now. So if he can make some magic happens with, you know, some blinding clouds and maybe some abducts, we'll see. He is moving into position here. Oh, a little bit of an overextend, taking a lot of siege tank fire there. Going to have to back up a bit. Not dealing, I think, any damage at all in that attack. And in the meantime, another Hellion run by from Apocalypse. He's in a really good position here to deal some damage. Still hasn't gotten Blue Flame yet, but it doesn't matter when you have 18,000 Hellions to kill drones with. And 13 drones down already. 15. 17, 18. Looks like that ticker is just going up and up because we even have the drones being killed off by the Banshees at the same time. They're 20 so far. Do we see a 21? Can I have a 21? And looks like he's moving in just in time. Yep, yeah, and he gets that ticker going again. This still counts as the same attack according to Game Art. Therefore, he gets 30 drones. My God, that is well done there. And he's also up 30 supplies, so Toodming is going to have to make some magic happen right now.
Yeah, but he can't. Every single time he moves around, considers trying to attack, boom, Apocalypse is there with Banshees. Boom, he's somewhere else with Hellions. The guy can't catch a break, can't catch an opportunity to actually get in a position to do some counter damage. Because look, Apocalypse just is relentless with his harassment. The Hellions are back again. So you think a guy that goes mech, oh, he's going to maybe turtle a little bit more? No, Apocalypse is finding ways to continue to step on his opponent here. Toodming not being allowed a chance to come back and get ahead. He's still behind by 12 supply. Apocalypse now more or less max. He's at 192. Close enough. Starting to bank here. So
I absolutely love this aggressive mech play from Apocalypse. And mech gets a bad reputation as this boring, turtly play. But Apocalypse, you know, making a really great demonstration of how it doesn't always have to be quite like that.
No, not at all. And we're seeing Toodming suffer for it. He is now trying to move into Ultralisk, it looks like, and adding on a Spire as well. Because really, at this point, late game against mech, Roach Hydra is not going to be quite strong enough to do the deed. So he's adding on some other kinds of tech here. Not necessarily expecting to use both at en masse at the same time, but just to have those options available to him.
Oh, nice positioning of these Hydras just out of vision range, so they're going to be able to take full advantage of that. and kill off those Hellions before they deal any significant damage. Some Hydralisks did go down, but overall, look at this creep spread. My God. He says, the top of the map is mine. And Apocalypse says, well, you know, it's very difficult to, you know, disagree with you on that because it's covered in purple goo.
Yeah, you know, that's one thing that Toodming has done really well these past few games. The creep spread has been phenomenal, and that is something that oftentimes doesn't really get talked about because we just kind of expect it. But when you have good creep spread, you know, obviously you have good map vision, right? That's clear with Toodming just providing that, as well as just the ability to move, to defend your bases very quickly. And Toodming's needed that. He's given his units quite a bit of exercise in this game.
Absolutely, and we're looking towards a pretty big engagement here. All right, going with the abducts. Interesting idea. A little bit of move command from those Hydralisks. Delayed the killing of the Vikings there, but pulls it off in the end without losing too many. Going to go ahead and lose some more. Vikings finishing things up there. And all this is about this dance with the siege tanks here. Staying away from the siege tanks, but being able to move in and deal with stuff. And just that Viking count is really difficult to deal with because it just takes out your Vipers really quickly. And the Vipers are absolutely necessary to deal with. This big attack coming in, catching a lot of the siege tanks on siege, which is really nice. But it's, you know, it comes down to a numbers game. At some point, Toodming realizing this pulls back, but quite a bit of damage dealt, not too much traded off. Toodming now maxing out on roaches with his +3 carapace finishing up right now.
Yeah, I think just when he moved forward with those Hydras, the Vipers were a fair bit behind, couldn't quite get down the blinding clouds on those tanks, and so a lot of the Hydras did go down.
Man, look at this tank spread. Wow.
Yeah, the tank spread is also good too. That's the other thing. I mean, it's easy to accidentally get all your tanks clumped up and then a couple blinding clouds will do it. But sometimes tank spread can lead to issues like this, where one tank can get taken out at a time. And Toodming is trying to make that happen here, coming from the western flank, sniping another couple tanks.
Nicely
but the rest
done.
of the army comes back to defend that tank line.
Economically speaking, players are very similar as far as mineral income concerned, but APOC with a big lead in gas income. So
Yeah.
Ultra's on the way for Toodming. This is a really nice position for Apocalypse to be getting into.
Yeah, this little high ground here, like they built that just for Terrans essentially to troll.
They said, if you want a gold base, you have to deal with Terrans. And everyone was like, oh, well, okay. If you say so.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple maps in the past that have these little platforms like this above center expansions.
Ooh, nice abducts there. Excellently done. Oh, you could have killed the tank is dead. All right. And pulling back there. A little bit scary. This is really difficult to control, so you can see, I mean, the flawless executions, it gets pulled, it gets killed, nothing gets lost, but, you know, shaving off each time. Now we have the Ultras leading the charge, and some transfuses coming through as well. One of those Ultras getting stuck in the back. We do have a lot of transfuse energy, but a lot of it is also not getting used. Attacking into this high ground is incredibly difficult. Only one Ultra is left. Everything Zerg is dying, and we have only 90 supply left over. We have some remaxing going on, but it is not enough. Apocalypse wins the game.
GG, and that's
it.
This is the first time we have had 2 shutouts on a single fight night. Just saying. Never happened.
You know.
But it's the big 2-0 here for Fight Night Week number 20, and we've got a couple of 3-0s to lead off the show match series. But,
that was a perfect
very well
caster
done
joke,
by
man,
Apocalypse. I mean,
say.
yeah, Apocalypse kind of fell off the radar for a few months, and well, I think this could be a good way for him to announce his return.
Yeah,
Although,
absolutely.
to Toodming's credit, he had a long day. He did play in WCS, so perhaps maybe a little fatigue could have set in. Don't want to make excuses for him and take away from Apocalypse, but you know that could be a situation there as well. But nonetheless, Apocalypse did a fantastic job, so congrats to him. Now he's $10 richer.
Yeah, absolutely. And up next, what do we have, Droopy? What do we have up next, Droopy?
Oh well, just a couple of players. Whatever.
Yeah, okay, yeah, good point, yeah. Maybe I don't want to overhype it or anything.
Some Marine guy, and then
Marine
yeah,
Slayer, Marine Lord, Marine
some
King,
Marine
Marine
guy, and then
Prince.
some guy who copied his name from CJ Hero. It's
Yeah.
Marine King versus Liquid Hero, and that is no doubt the match that you guys have all been waiting for, and you've been waiting for a
Mm.
really long time today. So we want to apologize for the delays and thank you for being patient. Hopefully, us getting Toodming as a substitute alleviated some of that inconvenience. But we are finally going to get to our headliner match here. We're going to stay
Mhm.
on the Korean server because we got a couple of two awesome Korean players coming up. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back as we head into a short break.